Welcome to the Swisher Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you go on Instagram and follow me at swisherent. Make sure you also go on YouTube and hit that subscribe button so you get a notification when the new videos is coming out. Make sure you also hit the subscribe button and the follow button on any of the streaming platforms, which is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud, so you get a notification when the next podcast is coming out. Thank you so much for listening once again, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome back to the Swisher Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Shout out to all the new listeners. Thank you guys so much for giving this podcast a chance. Giving this podcast a chance for someone you don't even know and taking a listen. I really appreciate that. I couldn't ask for anything more. If you definitely hit that subscribe button so you get a notification when the next podcast is coming out. If you enjoy the podcast, I try to bring the podcast to you guys every day. If I miss a few days, you have to forgive me. But thank you so much for listening and giving it a chance once again. Shout out to all the old listeners, everybody who's been giving it a chance since day one. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to all the school teachers, all the workers, everybody that's working different types of jobs, different type of occupations, different type of anything. I don't know who exactly is listening. I can just see where people are listening and how many people are listening. But shout out to everybody who's been listening. I really appreciate it that you take time out and listen to me talk and listen to me, what I can create on this podcast. And I really enjoy doing it. So thank you guys so much for supporting. Once again, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at swisherent. Keep up with the podcast, keep up with what I'm doing, keep up with what's going on. If you have any questions, comments, or anything that you need to ask me, definitely DM me at swisherent on Instagram, and I'll definitely get back to you as soon as possible. If you want any type of business moves, you can either DM me or email me at swisherentertainment95@gmail.com. Once again, that is swisherentertainment95@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Definitely trying to get some advertisers on here. Definitely had some advertisers hit me up. Just have to choose the right advertisers for the podcast, because there's no point in having an advertiser on the podcast if it's not getting any type of engagement. I'm not sure exactly what type of demographic my audience is, so once I figure that out, I'll be able to pick a sponsor that will fit this podcast. But definitely had a couple of people reach out, and just to see the podcast come from nothing to have people listening and have people reach out wanting to get their product or wanting to get their music or wanting to get anything on the podcast is definitely a big sign that this podcast is making a lot of progress. And I'm not just throwing paint on the wall, whatever you want to call it. I'm not just running, taking steps backwards. Is definitely see the progress of the podcast, and that's always a good thing when you're doing something like this. Even from the beginning, I said all you got to do is just put the content out there and people will find it. Nowadays with the internet, and I preach this every podcast, that nowadays with the internet, all you have to do is make the content, make it somewhat good, and just put it out there. And there's billions and billions of people in the world, and there's billions and millions of people on the internet that will find your content and find your podcast and find your videos or find whatever that you're doing, and then they will support it. Because if one person doesn't like it, it may be 10 or 20 other people that will. So don't forget that when you're making your content and you're doing what you want to do, definitely know that if someone doesn't like it, it's 10 people that will. If 10 people don't like it, there's 30 people that will, and 5 people that will. So it's always someone out there that's going to like your content, and just keep hustling, keep moving until you're able to do something that you always want to do with your content, with your business, with your whatever you're doing. And that's usually how things work out. I preach on a lot of the older podcasts that we have an opportunity today that they didn't have 30, 50, 100 years ago. Our grandparents, even our parents, didn't have the access of the internet that we have in the capacity that we have it today. We're able to upload something and have it go viral within hours or minutes, and to have millions and millions of people have their eyes on us at one time. We're able to open our phones and go live on Instagram and have some of us who have the following, thousands of people watching us just talk on Instagram Live or on Facebook Live at one time. The access of having that many people's attention, you weren't able to get that unless you were on a big TV network, unless you're on a big news outlet at one time. And nowadays, that having that access to the world is so everyone is able to have some type of platform. And I just feel like that's something that we all should take advantage of. And if you're not able to take advantage of that, if you don't see what I'm saying, I don't know. I definitely, maybe I see something other people don't see, but it's definitely the power of the internet is unstoppable. The internet is undefeated. So if you guys have a chance, if you want to make content, definitely look into making the content and just staying consistent and putting it out there. And like I said in the beginning, someone will find it, because the power of the internet is so powerful. And there's millions of people out here that will find your content and like it, as long as you're able to stay consistent and keep it up. And a big part about this is just being patient. Patience is key. Patience is key with anything you do. Like I said, when I first started this podcast, I had to learn how to do a lot of things. Now I'm able to deliver a crisp podcast with a nice logo and good content. That's, a lot of people think about the podcast is just about, who you have on and who's talking. But nah, a lot of the podcasts is the audio has to be clear. And, you definitely want to have some type of content, but the audio has to be clear. The video wants to be clear that you're putting on YouTube. So it's like the little things that you really have to worry about when doing a podcast. But when you're just making content in general, you want to more focus on the little things and not really the bigger picture. We see people make content and, some people may blow up fast, some people may not. But, you can't just get stuck off being that one viral clip. I've seen many people go viral and now they just don't do anything. They're just kind of like they're that viral person that went viral at one time and wasn't able to really commit or do anything off that viral moment. They weren't able to have a movie career or able to have a music career or even do anything with that at the time. But I feel like doing something with a podcast is slowly over time you build that audience. It's almost like you have some type of commitment to that person, to that podcast you're listening to, because you almost get to know the person through the podcast, and you're almost like you know that person, so you almost get those fans engaged with you to the point where they're committed to listening to you, and you don't just lose that fan base. If you don't understand what I'm saying, it's like having a hit song. You have that one hit song, and then that's your one hit song, and any other song you make, the people you may not have those millions of people that you like that hit song. They know you for that one hit song, but that's it. But someone who's had build up and then had different songs over time, they have their loyal fan base. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You have that committed, loyal fan base that's going to stick by your side, and that's really what you want when it comes to being on the internet. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with going viral, but it's definitely good to slowly build that fan base and have a committed fan base that's going to stick with you and have that engagement within your product. And my product is Swisher Podcast, and I'm able to definitely build this from ground up, which I have, and definitely with the help of other people also throughout the time. But hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to get bigger and bigger and have this podcast be where I want it to be. But make sure you guys go on YouTube and follow me at Swisher Podcast and run those streams up. Having YouTube is a big part of this. YouTube is something. It's also an app or not an app, but also a company or whatnot, a website that people can use to really blow up. If you deliver the content and you find out how to work that algorithm, you'll be able to definitely profit off of YouTube. And so you guys go check out my videos on YouTube at Swisher Podcast, because definitely put the work in to bring you guys those videos almost every day. Like I said, this episode will not be on YouTube, but the next episode will. So you guys definitely go subscribe so you know when that next episode is coming out. Once again, like I said, every podcast, you spend all your time helping somebody else get rich, and definitely take the time to take a few hours or an hour or two out the day to invest in yourself or invest in something that, will give you that financial freedom or give you that extra, that extra in the future. It's going to benefit you in the future, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's been many times where I wish I would have started this many years ago. I wish I would have did this many years ago. But having to find, sometimes you just got to go for it. You just got to do it, so you don't have to think about, I wish I would have did this 10 years ago. And it's like, all right, I'm going to do this now. So 10 years from now, I don't have to look back and be like, I should have did this so I can be here. Nah, I'm doing this, and then I'm going to look back and be like, I'm glad I did that. Because you don't want to look back and say, you don't want to look back and say, I wish I would have did that. You want to look back and say, I'm glad I did this, because this is definitely benefiting me now. You know what I'm saying? And That's just how I see things. And I see you may put out a lot of content, like I'm on my 100 and some episode, but at one day or at some point of time, like I said, you're gonna have that champagne glass effect, and all these episodes that I'm doing now is gonna mean a lot one day. You know what I'm saying? Not even one day, but it's definitely like, I didn't mean to say like one day, but people are going to be able to go back and listen to the hustle, listen to the grind, listen to the dedication of my voice, and notice that I've been grinding for not even that long, but for somewhat a long time. And definitely going to be able to listen to all these episodes, and definitely by the time they listen to some of the old episodes, they're going to be a fan, and definitely appreciate that. But anyway, it's not too many topics to talk about today. I'm recording this podcast late, so if anything that happened, I probably missed it. I haven't seen too many things on the internet right now. Last thing I had to talk about was that Gayle King, Snoop Dogg, had apologized for something what he had said. A lot of people had got on him for calling her a bitch. I saw Charlamagne had posted something. I saw on the Joe Budden podcast they were talking in Mall. If you listen to the Joe Budden podcast, they were talking about that situation also. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it was an interview that said something about Kobe. This lady named Gayle King, she's a famous interviewer, black lady, and Snoop Dogg got upset, called her out of her name, and everybody was freaking out about this and that. Two sides to every story. That's like the short version, but definitely it's definitely died down now, but it was a situation that was pretty big at one point, and a lot of people got love for Kobe. So it's just sad to see things like that unfold once someone is deceased. I feel like once someone is deceased, you shouldn't be able to bring up certain topics like that about people. But nowadays with media, like I said in the last podcast, you can profit off people's emotions, something that I would never do. But a lot of people like to profit off people's emotion, get those clicks, get those likes and those views. So these clicks, likes, and views can destroy us nowadays. That makes me really wonder, what would people do without these click, likes, and views? What would people like? How would that change the ecosystem, I guess, of social media? How people do the extreme to get those likes, views, and comments or whatever, and it's just they take all that away, and to see what type of internet we would have, what type of things people would do to get those likes, views, and comments and whatnot, it will be interesting. A lot of these videos we see now are based off of likes, comments, and views. So to be able to see the type of content that will be made without all that is definitely died down. I believe a lot of people wouldn't even be on social media, but a lot of these likes, comments, and views are fueled by the ad revenue that people are receiving, because all those metrics add up into dollars, because those metrics go into these companies and they see what you're bringing in, and then they pay you off of the type of metrics that you bring into the to the advertisers. And people, a lot of people make their living off the internet. So it's definitely a big part of business nowadays, and that's just part of that 21st century that I said that we have today that they did not have back in the day. There's certain YouTube channels that get 20 million views. I saw a Justin Bieber video got 11 million views in 22 hours. That's more views than your MTV may get, what I'm saying, in a day, what I'm saying, on a certain video or something. Like I said, they're cutting out the middleman, and you're able to go straight to the you're able to make content and take it straight to the consumer. You don't have to go through MTV, BET to have a video out. You're able to just put that out on your Instagram, on YouTube, and it's really, like I said, changing the landscape of things nowadays. You don't have to have a news outlet. You don't have to go tune in to CBS or NBC or any of those, ABC. You're able to just go on your phone, maybe go on Instagram, and TMZ has it up, or somebody has posted it. It might not even be a news outlet. It just might have been someone who's around the scene and recorded a video of it, and you're able to find out what happened. And I just find it so amazing, the power of the internet. And I really want to know how far the internet will go 20 years from now. In the last episode, I talked about how 20 years ago, when I was coming up, we didn't have smartphones. And I sound old, but I had a flip phone. My first phone was a flip phone. It was a track phone. Then I had a flip phone. Matter of fact, I had a track phone first. Anybody know what a track phone is? The phone you get from the dollar store. You get a little card. You put the minutes on it, and you can maybe call a couple of people. Once you run out of minutes, you done though. You can't do nothing. So I had that first. Then I had a flip phone with an actual data plan and all that stuff. It wasn't the type of phone where you had to get a card. I had an actual flip phone. And then I had an Android. So I didn't get a smartphone till it was like my third phone. You know what I'm saying? So that just lets you know. I'm not even that old. Like I said, I'm 24. So it lets you know how recent these smartphones and how recent all these social media networks are. You know, they didn't have all these things back in the early 2000s. Okay. So seeing where they will be 20 years from now, because I'm just going 2020, which would be like 2040, from 2040, whatnot. It's definitely going to be interesting to see if some of these social media networks will still be around. And I definitely feel like, you definitely have the big boys like Instagram and Facebook, which it's the same thing because Facebook owns Instagram. But it'll definitely be interesting to see what type of new social media networks will be around and what type of things you'll be able to do with these social media networks. Because, Instagram, you wasn't able to go live when I first had Instagram. Instagram came out when I was in like freshman year of high school, 2010. So Instagram is really only 10 years old, and then you couldn't go live. All you can do is post pictures. And I don't even think were able to see, like, there was no stories. So it was just pictures. And then that's about it. You follow people. Snapchat came out around the time I was a freshman in 2010. So, that's kind of dying off now. But Snapchat has came a long way, but it's almost on the way out. A lot of people don't use Snapchat anymore. So, like I said, to see these new tech companies and to see how the landscape is changing, I find that very interesting. And I can't wait to see what the future holds. But yeah, this is Swisher Podcast. Once again, make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube at Swisher Podcast. Make sure you also go on Instagram and follow me at swisherent. Make sure you do that. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you view all the videos and run those views up. I just talked about that. But make sure you guys do that for me. Hit that follow button on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? I work hard to bring you guys a great podcast. Sometimes I may talk about topics. Sometimes I may just talk about what's on my mind. Sometimes I may talk tech. Sometimes I may talk sports. And make sure you guys go do that, and I appreciate it. For anybody that was looking at the Carolina game, I don't want to talk about the Carolina game. It was very disappointing. I was so hyped to go out, and they lost on the last second shot. I had my outfit ready. Laid out and everything like it was the first day of school. I was ready to go out too. I was like, these niggas gonna win. I'm about to go out and have some fun, but niggas lost. I was upset. But anyway, Carolina lost again tonight to Wake Forest, or was it Wake Forest? Yeah, I believe it was Wake Forest. So I don't know what's going on with those guys. I talked about it last episode, a few episodes ago. Carolina is not the same team. I don't know what's going on. From what I saw after watching that Duke game, the basketball IQ is low. I don't know if it's because a lot of freshmen, or I don't know, these guys just, the basketball IQ is low. Cole Anthony's taking too many shots. He's just doing whatever. I don't know what's going on. I believe that they have to maybe learn some more about basketball. I saw so many mistakes, and I haven't played basketball in so long, but anybody that's played basketball can sit back and watch and tell that who has a high and low basketball IQ. And I think Duke just won because they just know a little bit more. Their IQ for basketball is just a little bit higher, but still a Carolina fan till I die. I believe that Carolina blue. So shout out to the Tar Heels, and hopefully they have a better season next year. It looks like they're going to the CIAA next year. Maybe they might not even make the CIAA. So it'll be interesting to see what they're doing during March Madness. I believe this is the first time they haven't been in the tournament in years. So like I said, it's going to be crazy to see what happens with those guys, but hopefully they'll be able to pull through and get in at least the CIAA. But yeah. What else is going on? I had something else, another topic, but it was brain fart. But once again, this is Swisher Podcast. I apologize for that. Make sure you guys go and follow me on Instagram at swisherent. Make sure you also do, like I said, you're not gonna see this video on YouTube, because I wasn't able to record this video, but you definitely will catch the next episode. But thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate everybody who's listening, whoever's listening. If you listen and you see me and you don't even act like you don't listen, I appreciate you listening. Once Once again, this is Swisher Podcast, and I'm out.